My dishwasher won't shut up. It's draining and doing all sorts of stuff, so I do apologise in advance, because when it finishes it's going to beep as well, and I don't actually know how far it's got left to go. Anyway, ramble. So we did Clynelish about 10 minutes ago, stroke yesterday. So we're going to carry on doing our Highland whiskies, and we'll just take a little trip down the coast and go here. A little bit further south down the coast from Clynelish, just outside Tain, which is where Glenmorangie is, to a distillery called Balblair. And this particular one was very kindly donated by, amongst about a bazillion others, by Andrew Butler, who is here, along with me. He's the one that doesn't look like me. Yes, so this was in amongst his stash that he sent me. It's a miniature that he's had half of, and I've got half left. So it's really going to annoy me, that dishwasher. And so Balblair is one of the oldest, turn it to Sean Connery, distilleries in Scotland, which was originally founded in 1790, and there is actually documentation proving this to be true, by a guy called John Ross. Now, it was actually rebuilt in 18... crap, I've forgotten what it was. It was rebuilt by... Look, just give me a second, because it's going to bug me otherwise. That's Clynelish. What are you on about? Oh, I had the page up and everything. It basically, it was rebuilt... Oh, don't do that. It was rebuilt to bring it closer to... It's in a village stroke town called Editon, and it was rebuilt and moved to be closer to the railway station. But the water source that was closer to that was basically next to it, wasn't actually as good as the old water source from where the old distillery was. Let me just see, 1895. See, I knew it had that 18 in it. Yeah, so it was rebuilt in 1895, and it was basically relocated, not too far away, but they brought it close to the railway station for transport, getting barley in and sending bottles out and all this lot. So what they do, and they still do it to this day, is they actually tanker the water from their original water source, which was, I think it was Alcherek, was the sort of Gaelic name for it, to the distillery, because it was a better water source for them to keep the quality of the whiskey that they were looking for. So it was expanded by a guy called Robert Cumming, who bought the distillery in 1948. He retired in 1970 and sold the distillery to Hiram Walker, however you pronounce his name. And then in 1996, it was purchased by Inverhouse Distillers, who I've come across before because they sent me a couple of samples, which I still have a couple of theirs to do. But they own Old Pulteney, they own Speyburn, they own Balblair. They've got a couple of blends on as well. Did I say Speyburn? Yeah, I think I did. Tired. It's nearly the end of the week. It's nearly the weekend. Come on. So yes. So what Balblair do at the moment is this going to be exactly 25? Ooh, Andrew, bang on. Cheers, mate. So what they do is they release it as vintages rather than a 10-year-old, a 12-year-old, anything like that. So annually, their master distiller will go through their year's worth of casks and essentially select the best ones. Now, he'll try and keep a representation, so as the vintages go through, because it started off as I think the first one was a 2000? I think it was a 2000 was like the first vintage, and we're on 2001, but they're now on a 2005, which is the latest one. So this is the 2001, which looks like this, and at the moment we're on 2005. So if you try and find this on the net, it's no longer available. It's essentially discontinued because they've run out of stock of it. But their standard version is now the 2005. So it's distilled 2001, bottled in 2012. So 11-year-old, let's say, for the sake of argument, but it's their standard bottling. So what they're trying to do is get as close a representation year on year to have a standard 10-year-old, but there might be some slight differences in it, probably negligible, to be perfectly honest, but it's also quite a good little marketing tool, because if you like the 01 and the 01's gone, you get the 02 and then you get the 03, because there is a chance that it might be slightly different, might be better, might be worse, but you keep buying it because it's not their 10-year-old that you get every single time. So the water source is slightly peated as well, and that's why they've actually kept the original water source, because they needed that slightly peaty element in the water. They use ex-bourbon casks in their maturation. Now it's a very, very pale colour, this one. I'm not sure if you're going to pick it up on that, but it really is quite pale. Almost kind of like a lemony yellow colour as well. We're talking white wine territory here, which I'm probably going to be dealing with tomorrow. But it's not quite oaky Chardonnay. It's not quite Sauvignon, maybe like an unoaked Chardonnay, that type of colouring on it. So I would probably hazard a guess, and I'm not sure it's going to say on here with it being a miniature. Mit Farbstoff, which is the terminology to look for. German basically meaning it's got caramel colouring in it. I'd be willing to guess with the paleness of this colour. Paleness, is that even a word? Lightness of this colour, that it probably hasn't got colouring in. Whether it's chill filtered or not, who knows? Personally, who cares? But it's pretty pale, so it'd be interesting to see what it comes out with. So straight away on the nose, there's a slight prickliness in it in terms of a smokiness that's actually, it's not medicinal, it's not a TCP Isla style, it's a spicy smokiness. Ooh, this is fresh as well, quite coastal. There's a lightness to it, and there's a definite salt and pepper vibe to it. Which kind of carries on as well. Oh, very prickly. Sorry, Chris. Chris Cook, I know you don't like that phrase, but this really is tingly, effervescent, shall we call it? Is that better? Yeah. But yeah, there's a definite gentle spiciness to it, but it is like an effervescence, kind of like it's sparkling on your tongue. There's a nice delicate smokiness to it. There's a candied sweetness to it, like a candy floss. It's quite juicy as well, but it's not like a blackcurrant juiciness. It's difficult to say because it's not really a berry juiciness. But it's quite mouth-watering. It's actually very pleasant, but it's a weird kind of, it's like candy floss. Yeah, candy floss kind of melts on your tongue and it kind of bubbles on your tongue as it's doing so. It's got that sensation on it. It's very pleasant indeed. And the smokiness that's there is a really, really sweet smokiness. It's very gentle. It's not massively in your face. And it supports the sweetness really well. And I think it's that smokiness that's giving you that slight bubbly vibe to it. It's very, very pleasant indeed. It's arguably maybe a little too young. I'd be very interested to see what this is like, an equivalent of like a 15-year-old, which they do in their vintages. They do kind of the standard, and then older vintages are also older distillations that are bottled more recently. But I'd be really interested to see kind of what the next level up to this one is, because there is a youthfulness to it that is just keeps everything locked in a little bit. It feels like it's just holding back some of the sweetness and some of the smokiness, and it just feels like it's not quite giving quite as much as it could do almost. But what there is really, really nice. It's really pleasant. Whereas the Clynelish that I've had was it's a bit more muscular and a bit more, it's almost like Clynelish was kind of the father figure, which was austere and serious and knew what it was doing and had a bit of class. This is almost like the spiky little son that has elements of its father, but is standing on its own 2 feet, is a bit more independent, is a bit more get up and go, and a bit more kind of it'll answer back, and it's a bit more spiky. But you still like it, it's still got a good personality about it. That's really good actually, really, really nice. There's a lot to like about that. There's a definite sparkle to it as well. I like that a lot, I really do. You're looking at about 40 quid-ish, 35 to 40 quid, which is fair enough. I mean, for about an 11-year-old, okay, fair enough. Considering the Clynelish that I've just seen for 36, probably go with that. But standing on its own, It's a good whiskey, and I think if you can find that for about 35 quid, there's enough character to that will definitely do the job. And to be honest, the bottle and the packaging look really nice as well. That is very good indeed, and I'd love to know what like the next level up is. It's going to have to wait until next January, February, until I finish the challenge and I can actually go back to some of these, but that's definitely on the list for, and I'll probably forget when I do the next quarter review, but I would put that on the list of, I'd be very interested to see what the other versions are like within the range, because if that ages particularly well, there's bags of flavour in there that I think with a little bit more time in cask and a bit more mellowing out could be something really special indeed. Right, Andrew, thank you very much for the donation. I hope you enjoyed it, your top half, as much as I enjoyed the bottom half, because that was very good indeed. And I shall see you at the next one. Cheers.